So, last we left off a while ago now, a month ago since last play, we were finishing up in the state of Kabara and the town of New Throne, having fought through the Hall of a Thousand Mirrors, finding out some information with House Jarosco and the sect of House Jarosco that you've been dealing with that seem to be converting themselves or playing around with turning into Warforged. Uncovering mysteries of Josu Keeling and how he has spearheaded this project. Also finding out that a relation of his, Kelly Keeling, seems to be inflicted with the Shifter curse, if you want to call it that, or enhancement, depending on which way you look at it. Seems to be a rift between the family there. Although you haven't had anything to do with Kelly since leaving Vathrond. But not knowing fully who to trust anywhere, you head back to New Throne and discover two paths ahead of you. It seems that both these shifters and the House Jarosco Warforged are seeking items, keys, interesting points of or points of interest to help them do something. They both seem to be working towards something in the Mournlands. Seeing that there is some sort of crown in Shan, I believe you saw an ancient artifact to go on show at the Morgrave University in the Lorehold College. The fabled lidless crown. Whatever that might mean. Maybe some research might uncover a bit more into it, but seems that that is being on display in Shan. But then also hearing that in the Moorholds near Guradra Gap, a volcano has been making news. Seems to be active again. And the townsfolk are reporting sights of large humanoids moving through the mountains in the shadows. After making the decision of which to do first, the Guradra Gap came out on top. Meeting with the Duke of New Throne, Ghost got word that they had one teleportation circle use at any major city, with the seal of approval from the Duke, which could come in handy. But going down to the docks, you guys found Captain Burgash, who was making his way up to Krona Peak to do some trade, and he willingly, for a little bit of extra gold, which wasn't too much actually, agreed to fly past Guradra Gap and have you guys disembark if you so please. I think the party decided that it would be easier to go to the Gap rather than go to Fremantle, the town. So the idea is to get off the ship over the Gap and kind of see what we can figure out there before interacting with anyone from the town, whether there be parties heading up into the mountains or what the story is there. So, having finalized everything in New Throne, again, if anything has come to mind over the last couple of weeks, we can probably sort that out before leaving town. But leveling up to level 6, we get on the airship and start making our way out of Kubara and into the next chapter of the adventure. So Captain Burgash runs a cargo ship. It is not nice by any means. It's almost like when you sit in a friend's van that does deliveries or a trade, for work, and it's not a car that you want to spend 8 hours in. It's rough, it's loud, it's got that window that doesn't quite close properly. And that's kind of vibe this airship gives off. It's relatively large. There's space to move around. Like he's taking some cargo, and maybe during loading at the docks, you see it's a lot of like vegetation. It's a lot of seeds and kind of like food goods that is going up to the peaks. Ghost, you probably would click as well that although the dwarves are great at mining and using natural resources, it's quite barren up there. You're not going to get vineyards. You're not going to get really lush vegetation. It's kind of your hard. I'm thinking potato, beer, that kind of like vibe. So obviously they import quite a lot of luxury fruits and so on and so forth. There's a couple of containers of what would you call it, from the jungles, like dense furs from some bears or something like that, as the peaks can get quite cold and stuff. But everything is sorted into their own kind of compartments, large containers, and the crew's sleeping quarters, which you will share if you so need a rest, are hammocks strung up between pillars under the deck. Now the trip will take about a day to get to Corona Peak. Therefore, going past Garaja Gap, probably late afternoon, early evening. So, coming into our adventurers, I just want to hear, like, what are your first movements on the ship? How are you settling in? Are you putting your feet up? Are you wandering around? It gives a bit of a chug to get started, but eventually it turns itself around and you start heading towards the mountains and you can see the forests and jungles of Khorvaire beneath you. Also, if there's anything that you came to mind that you want to do in town before you leave that morning, then now's the time to do it. Ghost, anything for you?
No, Ghost kind of wrapped up everything he needed to wrap up. In New Throne, he will probably, just while this dock's being loaded, be fiddling with a couple of pieces of leather strapping, stitching them together with that sort of signature half dwarven with elvish influenced stitch that he does for everything.
Mm-hmm. And Ghost also had a bit of a makeover, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, if you remember correctly, he went out, got his hair cut,
Mm-hmm.
brought it back from his eyes, got a new coat with, I can't remember the name of that. I wrote it down somewhere. Signature of the coat maker on the inside of the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks a bit tidier, and he looks a little bit more like his so-called station where he was born. Looks a bit more prim and proper, and a lot calmer in general. He's just generally scowling less. He kind of seems almost excited to head up north.
I think as well, not to move on from you, but that's something that Hera notices, is that this is looking a little bit more like something she's seen before. But I imagine that also means that Ghost is interacting with people a little bit differently. When you have a new look and you kind of lift your shoulders a bit, you interacting with the dock workers a little bit more, or is he still kind of keeping to himself? And
He still keeps to himself, but I mean, I think Hera's probably the first to really notice it. But if you pay attention to his actions, and even Ghost doesn't recognize it, but he's just generally more approachable. He's not avoiding eye contact. He like nods at people as they walk past. If he does catch an eye or a smile, he's just generally nicer.
always a bonus. Always a bonus.
Always a bonus.
Cool. The thing that's probably playing on your mind a little bit is you're leaving one region. You're going towards. You're not going all the way to Krona Peak, but you are going back into territory where you learnt your trade, and possibly that trade, along with maybe Molokov's help and Puck's intelligence and Hera's wisdom, is how are you going to get off this ship? Captain Burgash has said that he's not landing the ship. He will fly past. So maybe that's something to think about. You've got about 8 hours to pull something together. But just keep that in mind.
Good ideas. Good ideas.
Puck, what's going on? What's going on?
Contrary to that, Pike is probably in a more foul mood. The treachery of what's happened is still sort of weighing on him, and he's quite unsettled. He doesn't feel safe.
Kind of like looking over your shoulder kind of thing?
No, he's more just worried. He's mostly worried about his brother, who is still there, who seems to know that there's something wrong. Like, he seems to be aware, his brother seems to be aware that there's something not great, but also seems to be stuck there or still with them. So he's
we made contact with Laurie not too long ago, so it's good to hear his voice at least.
Yeah, but he's not confident that he's safe, and that was kind of his part of the impetus of him sort of setting out in the first place. So he's just unsure and unhappy, and probably in the back of his mind is plotting some sort of revenge against Jarasco. And is pretty hell-bent on stopping whatever it is they're trying to do.
Anything
so he's probably pacing the airship a little bit. He's probably not really helping them do anything because he doesn't really know what to do, and they've paid their way, so they don't need to help.
Yep.
But he's probably pacing and thinking and sort of going back over sort of things he's heard and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. And like the thing is, like, there is a lot of movement getting onto this ship. Like, people know what cargo they need to lift and stuff, and so you're right, you haven't agreed to help out, and maybe some of the others might be, but there are workers and they know what they need to do, and I'm sure Puck doesn't get in the way, but when you kind of you can see that there's patterns of movements where a worker picks up a crate and then he turns around and does that, and so Puck, I think, is nimble enough to kind of just keep out of the way and watch what's going on. Ever observant for the halfling. Hera.
Nothing really that I wanted to do pre-leaving that we hadn't already sort of covered. I suppose I would probably be either, depending on what is it sort of like a barge, sort of a ship, like it's got just crates and stuff on the top, or is it being sort of low? Is there like a any sort of quarters at all?
No, there's not really any quarters. Like, even the rooms, like there aren't a lot of different types of airship. They do follow quite a lot of the same design. As you got to keep in mind, like, yes, airship technology is fantastic, but you got to think of it as that it's the start of a new era. Kind of thing. These things have come out of the war, so they're all maybe repurposed galleys and stuff like that. I think it's House Lysander that runs them. The insignia is out on them and stuff, but maybe the captain's quarters is still intact and it's got some ledges and stuff for Captain Burgash, but the kitchen has been changed into basically a loading space. And like I said, there's some hammocks stretched up because Captain Burgash has his crew. They maybe number 5 to 6 people. And his job is to move cargo from point A to point B.
That sort of answered my question a little bit, I guess. I'll probably just be waiting to the side with Molokov, and I guess waiting for us all to sort of get ready. And once the boat seems packed, I'll make my way on board and probably find just like a little nook somewhere, and I'll sort of lean up against a crate and just pull out some of my school books and stuff like that. And I'm just going to, while we're flying, be doing some reading over my normal university work, sort of just to flavor the learning of new spells while leveling up.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, you've got all day basically, and I'm sure you guys stop off at a merchant or something to grab some food or rations just for the trip. But yet again, you
make food.
You can make food. Well, there you go. You can save a couple of copper pieces.
I think if you remember, the camera was it Puck who went out and bought a whole bunch of like nice rations
Yeah,
of decent food last session.
just to avoid Hera's.
Like, I also have some fresh fruits and a couple of nice bits as well.
Of course. And maybe on the trip as well, like you see that these guys, look, they're merchants, they're traders. They're in no means corrupt, but they'll pop an apple out of a cart or a crate to tide the journey over, kind of thing. Like one apple or a couple of berries from this one won't hurt. And even Burgash is aware of this kind of thing. It's kind of like a little bit off the top for us delivering our cargo across the continent. So you can share in some of that as well. But yeah, you've got basically all day. And once the airship, gets to altitude, it's quite nice, cool breeze. So yeah, quite a good time to study, which would be good. And how about you, Molokov? Where's your head at?
Yeah, again, I don't think that there's anything more that I needed to do while we're in town. I think, yeah, Molokov's sort of, I guess, doing a lot of what he always does when he doesn't know really what's going on, and he's brooding and probably not saying a hell of a lot and keeping his head down. I think definitely since we got out, pretty much every chance he's been reading that book, and maybe even doing some tinkering on his arm, and you can see he's sort of pulling bits off, and you can see trying to size up different bits of scrap that he might replace bits with, or you see he's definitely looking to make upgrades, and
Sure.
I think he's sort of throwing himself into that a little bit.
Nice.
And that's sort of the flavor for his level up as well.
Very nice. So, like I said, you leave New Throne with a putt and a roar as this thing kicks into action, and you turn up away, and you can see the jungle down below you. You can see the mountain where the Moon Mother was before passing over. Can't remember exactly what they're called, but here we go, bringing up the map. The End World Mountains. You see that some of them are a little bit snow covered. You see a little bit of activity there. You're rising quite high at the moment now, but it looks like you remember that Shapiro and Onus headed up to the mountains. Apparently transport was waiting for all of you there to get you back to Staralaska. So maybe one of these dots of activity is a little bit of a makeshift airship port, maybe for a few lighter vehicles or something or other. But in any case, you guys are heading north or east. And to the left of the ship, you look out to Golden Plains. It looks like a mix of desert sands, but also that almost like golden wheat kind of grass that probably goes, well, Puck, goes about hip height, maybe a bit taller. It's very good for the likes of I've forgotten your dinosaur's name.
Swiftscale.
Swiftscale, they skulk and move through like the velociraptors of the movies, through that grass. And there are a few predators in there, but it's mostly big yaks and cows and some mammoths maybe that roam these plains, big herbivore beasts. But it is a lot of empty space. Not much else grows there. But you know that on the other side of it is Gatherhold, and that is where you call home. But that is not where you're heading at the moment. So, flying up, every crew member kind of chats for a little bit. They might talk about their work life and how, same old, living the dream. But then they kind of start settling down. It's getting into a couple of hours of the journey now. My question to you is, what's your plan for disembarking the ship?
So I've been thinking about that.
You're free to talk to Burgash as well, but he has said he will try and get you close to the mountain range, but you got to understand, he says airflows and stuff start getting really weird up the top of mountains. He doesn't want to rattle the cargo too much, but if you need to ask him to do any specific maneuvers, he will try his best to. So go and Ghost.
The only thing I'll ask him to do is, I think I talked about it session, was to fly as low as he can, coming into the gap, and we can make disembarkment arrangements ourselves.
Sure.
So I can land us on the ground, but the getting down there is going to be a little spicy.
Is it like what happened off the other airship?
Hopefully without the crashing afterwards.
Puck will start playing with, like, flicking a coin, the token he still has between his fingers.
Same mechanism, and you won't need that. Hopefully these, and I hold up a series of these small beads you've seen before that are sort of tossed through the air. These will give us the same effect. Just slow our fall. Guess do some squats beforehand so you don't buckle a knee. Not for you, maybe just Hera.
You said we slow our fall though, so what we are just jumping at some point.
I'd love to call it flying. It really is just falling with style.
Okay. My question is, where is the best place for us to jump? Do we know what we are looking for?
Well, we're heading to the Frost Mantle, so the Aurora Gap. It's not hard to spot. Big break in the mountain range.
We know we want to get to the volcano. Either that or the gap, and see how we go.
I think flying directly over Frost Mantle is a little out of our captain's purview. Burgash has said he'll fly low over the Ironhold Mountains, but since he's heading north, be a little bit of a deviation for him. It'll only take half a day or so on foot in that location. It's treacherous, though. Active volcanic activity. Lava flow everywhere. Won't be an easy hike. Oh. I can't make any other recommendations other than that. We knew we were going into something a little bit sketchy when we took up this mission, right?
For sure.
Yes.
We seem to go from sketchy situation to sketchy situation.
Yes. What were you going to say here?
Seems to be our trademark.
Oh, nothing. I just was worried going to Frost Mantle. It might be cold, but now apparently there'll be flows of lava. Perhaps it will not be so cold.
The dwarves have a particular dry sense of humor.
Very much so. I was going to say, roll me a nature or survival check, Ghost.
Oh, sure. definitely had the wrong page open. Nature or survival is. How do I D&D again?
Roll
17.
a dice, add a number. Or just say a number and I'll believe you. 17, yeah, like, you spend a lot of time up in these mountains, and yes, it is true that you're going towards more volcanic activity. I don't think you have specifically been to the Garage Gap yourself, but you've heard that it's pretty treacherous terrain. And if it's true that this volcanic activity is happening, you're right, there will be lava flows coming down the mountain, but that doesn't mean that it will be hot by any means. A gorge in the mountains will be very windy, very much a wind tunnel between the two places, the Moral Holds going out into the plains. So, yeah, I think the wind's going to probably play into it as well, that could get quite nippy.
I will relay that. Now that I remember correctly.
Hmm.
So perhaps if you have any methods of tackling the wind. I recommend a good face cover.
Good to know. Just wanted to know what we're getting ourselves into.
For sure. So my understanding is that you're going to tell Captain Burgish that just he needs to fly as close as he can, and then you guys are going to do a jump. Do you know how close you need to get, Ghost?
Ideally within 600 feet.
Okay. All right.
Of solid ground.
Can you roll me?
Which is low, but not ridiculous.
Yeah, of course, of course. Can you just roll me a d20 and tell me the result, please?
I can. Ooh, I don't trust my dice. That's a 16.
A 16.
Is it? Yes, it is a 16.
Let me have a look at what you have given yourself.
Before we get too far ahead, I've
Sure.
got something for you, Puck.
I'll let you guys play that out first.
It's a modification of what I put on your dagger. I figured out that I just needed more space to include the right runic elements and make the connections. If you'd give me a crossbow.
Which one?
The one that repeats.
Ah.
It would mean you'd have to use regular ammunition, but don't worry, I included an autoloader as part of the infusion. It's how I managed to generate.
Sorry, I missed whatever the second half of that was.
Essentially, I'm looking at replacing your repeating shot with a. Where is it? Inventory. With a radiant weapon. So you'll still have +1.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a bonus action to have it shed bright light in a 30-foot radius. You can turn that on and off as necessary. And if you're hit by an attack, you can expend 1 of 4 charges to blind the attacker unless they succeed on a con save 15 until the end of the next turn.
That's cool.
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
Just flash a light
Thought it
in
might be a
someone's head.
little more up your alley. So replacing that infusion, so you no longer have the auto-generated.
That's fine.
Auto-generated
still have
ammunition.
Tons of ammo. Yep.
But essentially, what I'm taking off is I'm taking off that barrel that kind of sits on top and replacing it with almost a side-mounted mechanism with kind of an iron sight rail on the top of it, and it will just pop bolts in every time you draw the bow back. That's like more actually your ability to ignore the loading property, but
yeah, sure.
for flavor.
Sweet. Thank you. I think this will come in quite handy. I do often seem to be getting stuck in places where I can't see.
That dagger didn't really do all too much. It's kind of like holding a candle to a dragon's lair.
Very nice. So
sorry, just to clarify, are there any charges on that, or it just every time I get hit, I can blast it off, or
4 charges, and it regains 1d4 at dawn.
Okay. Cool.
Con save 15. Yep.
Con save 15. Okay, cool. I will try and remember to write all that stuff down.
Very good.
And it doesn't specify whether it has to be. It just says after being hit by an attack.
Right.
So DM, if you get shot from 30 feet away, does it like from a distance and can potentially blind them? I'll let you.
Yeah, I mean,
figure that out.
If it just says attack.
It just says attack. After being hit by attack, the wielder can expend 1 charge and cause the attacker to be blinded until the end of the attacker's next turn.
Yeah, it could be just like
end of the attacker's next turn. Holy Christ, that's a long time.
That is a long time. You're now fighting everything with tremor sense.
Shit.
Cool. So yeah, you and Puck are kind of like exchanging this, maybe fiddling around, showing him how it works and stuff. A couple of hours go by, and it's quite nice actually being up this high. A little bit of relaxation, if you can call it that, to just be above it all. You know, you might see a couple of other airships in the distance, but nothing comes close to you to recognize what or who it is. And coming up to the moor holes, you see this big, long mountain range, and it does look very rugged. As Captain Burgash starts to descend to get you closer to the Garage Gap, the sun is getting low in the sky. It's getting later in the day. And you start to notice little red spots on the mountain range. It does seem that some volcanic activity has become active. As Captain Burgash descends and lowers his altitude to get into the... he's not going to go fully into the gap, but he's going to get to you as close as possible. The ship starts rattling. You can tell that the wind currents here start changing in different directions, and he's really starting to struggle with the wheel. He does another maneuver and kind of flicks around. He starts yelling out commands to his crew, and they tighten the ropes on some of the cargo as the ship starts buckling, and it drops about 10 feet, and then it kind of comes back up, and it hits little air pockets and stuff, and you can tell that the air around here is not nice. Starts yelling out commands again and again, and he goes to your party, and he says, right, we're almost there, but we're going to need your help to get a bit closer. Anything you can do to help out. And he takes a dive with the ship as he starts coming into the side of this mountain range. We're going to do a skill challenge as the airship starts shaking, the mast going like this. One of the crates slides across the deck. I'm going to need 3 successful skill checks to help get this ship as close as we can, which will determine your 600 feet, basically, into this mountain range. Closer you're getting, you're now seeing some of that smoke coming out from some of the tops of these mountains. They're not all mountain peaks, like volcanoes traditionally are. There's obviously columns and stuff that allow the lava to flow through. But the ship buckles left and right. And as skill challenges usually go, there can't be a repeated skill straight after each other. The DC will be based on how you describe the action. And I'd like to know how you're going to help this ship get in close to this mountain range.
I would like to use my acrobatics to try and move around the ship and help, or grab a rope that's flailing about somewhere.
Sure.
Or that sort of thing.
All right, that's all good. I will give you a DC of 15.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 9, but acrobatics is plus 11, so it's a modified 20.
Modified 20. Yeah, that you go around, you kind of see what the other crew members are doing. you've almost done the similar kind of thing when the airship was going down last time. So you go and grab a rope and you tie a knot in it, and then you swing on that rope to go to the next one, and so on and so forth. And yeah, you kind of alter the ship to kind of stay tight within itself. There's no weight flying around the ship anymore. Next person. And that is one success. Very good. Go on, Hera. What do you got?
I'm just trying to work out what's going to be useful / acceptable.
Kind of having a bit acceptable, like, you're about to disembark the ship. You don't have to see these guys again.
No. I more mean like saying the thing that I want to do. If it's going to be worth, like, what thing is it going to be?
Oh, is it going to be an acceptable, helpful? I thought you'd been like acceptable morally between the crew.
No, like acceptable to the DM's standards of a check worth passing.
Sure. It could just be a high DC. But yeah, it's rattling now, and like you're having flash, like you're like, is this ship going down like it was last time? No, okay, the captain is in control. He's fighting with the wheel, and he doesn't look panicked, but he looks like at a certain point he's gonna have to pull out of this, and that could be your chance missed. So
okay, yeah, I know. In that case, I think I will do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run, sort of gather my things, throw my shit sort of together, strap myself pretty much down, ready to be jumping.
Yep.
I'm gonna run towards the edge of the ship, grab some rope, and just sort of wrap it around my arm, and I'm gonna dangle myself sort of out, looking sort of half over down, and I'm gonna try and use nature to judge how fast I think we're closing in on the mountain range and how far we are away from it. Just like judging the jagged shapes and stuff, and telling him to pull left or right, sort of thing, whether we're getting too close to the mountain. I'm trying to gauge the size of the mountain range and how close we are, and when we can jump.
Okay, sure.
I was thinking maybe it's just going to be perception, but I was trying to use nature because it was a natural thing.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, that makes sense, because as you look over the side of the ship, you see that there are some jagged bits of the mountain. Like, they're not landable at all. You jump on that, you're going to be sliding down for a good amount of time, kind of thing. You want a kind of flat-ish surface, and you see there are little pockets of like maybe cave systems that have been made through these mountains, maybe from old lava flows that obviously offer some refuge, but then they also have not paths, but there are ways down the mountain from there. But there are other points that are fully just jagged. You don't want to be landing on that area there, and you also don't want to be getting the ship near any of those.
Yeah, even that, almost also looking for where lava may have flowed. So there's almost, like you say, like a flat sort of road, sort of path where it has been.
Sure.
In the past.
You're going to give me. It's going to be a bit harder. It's going to be an 18 DC. Nature check, because you're not quite familiar with this terrain.
No. That's a failure.
Nothing you can do?
No, it's an 11.
An 11. You're looking down, and you can see that there are these little cave pockets and holes in it, and your curious brain goes, "Oh, I wonder what's in there. Does anything live up here in these mountains?" And the gorge is just, it goes like, you can't actually see the bottom. It gets quite dark because no sunlight gets into this gorge here, and the only light you see is these little spots of red, and you can see that now the lava is just, it flows out and then back into the mountain. You're gonna have to obviously be careful when you're on the grid, bang, and your mind has just been distracted for a bit too long, and you didn't see one of the points of the mountain come up, and the ship is knocked into it. Everyone flies over and will take 1d4 of bludgeoning damage.
Ooh. Are we rolling that, or are you rolling it?
You can each roll your own d4.
That's generous of you.
1.
Nice.
Ghost hits his head so hard.
Yeah, bang. What'd you get, Hera?
That's a 4, so I was
Yeah.
still tied to that rope, so I'm almost just gonna go
Yeah.
just yank on my shoulder.
Yeah. And Mol?
And you knocked straight into me. I also got a 4.
Oh, 3 4s and a
I
1.
also got a 4.
Jeez.
It's
Yeah.
acrobatic, I swear.
Yeah, you kind of like notice the ship go and you kind of hit your arm or elbow on something, Puck, but you carry on and everyone else is like smack. So unfortunately that's a failure.
Cool.
Need I remind you as well is that 3 failures do not spell a good story. Well, actually, sorry, they spell a great story. It might not be a good outcome. Who's up?
Yeah, I got one.
That was my best attempt
You
at
go.
something.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked it.
For the record, as I'm running around and helping, constantly casting bless on myself.
Bless.
Not bless, guidance.
Go,
So I yell out to the captain, "Where's your engine room? I can give you more power."
He would, yeah, point out. It's in the back.
Point. And I'll pop my way through the corridors and get to this dragon shard, I assume.
Yep,
Thing
much
that
the
powers all of
same
these things.
as you saw in the other airship. This one's not as well put together. You know, you can see pistons and stuff riling up and some steam is pumping out of the room. It's obviously working a bit overtime at the moment because it's not its normal current flight path. It's getting quite turbulent.
Please hold. And I'll pull out my dragon shard. Obviously, it's a lot smaller. And that same triangular mechanism. I'll burn a spell slot if I have to, just to put some power into this one. Or, actually, do I try and just split the load between the 2 shards so it can be a little more efficient? Yeah, I'll give it reserves of power, but also use this the smaller dragon shard to take some of the pressure off the everything that's doing its own things at the moment.
Sure.
Exploding.
That's going to be an Arcana check.
Yeah, it is.
And you're proficient, so I'm gonna go back down to a 15 for this one.
All right. Oh, natural 20 on the dice.
Natural 20.
25.
You
28.
28. Very nice. You go to shove this dragon shard in, and just before you do it, you think, hold on, and you turn the dragon shard up the other way and see that it kind of just slots in, so it doesn't smash anything or whatever. You move one of the power couplings over to it, and the ship kind of dips for a bit, and everyone gets that sensation in their stomach that like the fearful when you go, and because it loses power for about a second and then boom, starts stabilizing itself. It's not so much shaking anymore, as it pretty much has double the power for a limited time. This is not going to last the whole journey. Second success, very good. Malakov.
Alright, I guess seeing Ghost run off to the engine room, I'll stay on deck and help in probably the only way I really can. I'm going to try and use my strength and size and lend, any ropes that are getting pulled and anything that needs redirecting for guiding. I don't know how the ship actually gets steered or what goes into it, but I'm certain that a strong hand will be helpful in one way or another.
Yep. You want to use strength?
So you're taking direction from the other mates, and I'm trying to use athletics.
Athletics. Okay. I think not fully understanding how the ships work. You haven't spent a lot of time studying airships and stuff. It's going to be a little bit harder. We're going to go DC 17, and you can use athletics.
All right, here we go. It's a natural 20.
Natural 20, nice. Even though you don't understand... Nice. Even though you don't understand how the airships fully work, you understand instructions. And when they say grab, you grab. When they say pull, you pull. And the airship steadies along with Ghost making the motor give it a little bit more power. And basically Burgash almost just drift into this canyon, and he says, to the right side, to the right side, and he points out, and at first everyone thinks that something is coming up on the right side, but I think, Harry, you probably see it, is that you see a little bit of a ledge coming up, and there seems to be, a little bit of a cave on it, but there is a ledge for landing, and you see that as he is turning the ship, he's about to turn and then propel away. So that's basically your go sign with that third success.
Over there, over there, over there. There's a safe spot.
Like how you went to shout, Michael, and then you realize you're on mute.
3, 2.
Yep.
All right.
As soon as Ghost jumps him off.
Suddenly appears on deck with a dragon shard under one arm and a handful of little magical bearings in the other, and he goes, go, 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 go. Which way? Looks at Hera.
Yes, you do point to the right side of the ship. Yeah, so you're all jumping together?
I believe we have to.
On 3.
Nice.
1, 2,
Link.
As you all jump, you kind of like feel the sensation of the lightness of being in the air. There's no longer a shaking ship. There's no longer force like pushing you in a certain direction. You kind of just in a little bit of a free fall before you realize that you are now plummeting towards this ledge. Here it looked a lot closer when you were on board. As soon as your feet left solid ground, you're heading to a rocky mountain range, basically.
I'm gonna sort of turn to go. When do we start falling slower?
You just see like Ghost is like mentally calculating the distance, and he goes, nah. And I will cast Featherfall on the party.
Love it. There's no check required for that, is there?
Nope.
No,
Just
good.
happens.
Just happens. You guys all see the mountain range coming closer, and then suddenly boom, you go light and fall like feathers and touch down. You are not on a very wide ledge. It's maybe 5-10 foot wide from the sheer cliff of the mountain, and then it just falls off again. And as you do, you see the ship about 600 feet up in the air and start turning around, and you see Burgish on the back just waving. He's yelling something, but you can't hear what he's saying. He's just waving. You see the rest of the crew being like, woo, we did it. Definitely a story for them to tell in the future.
I imagine Ghost missed it by like this much. His legs are kind of just sort of dangling off the ledge. It's like, somebody, can you just give me a hand? Thank you.
And yeah, so you almost have to go a bit single file. And after the adrenaline starts to settle down, your heart beats slow a bit. Here, you are on solid ground now. You're not under any spell or anything. Like you can hold on. You can feel the physical touch of things. But you kind of look around you, and yeah, you're basically, if this is the gorge, like you're on one side of it. You look down and you see that it goes down and down and down, and the light kind of just starts to disappear down that way. The wind is not blowing hard, but you can definitely feel that if it got to nighttime, this could get quite harsh up here. And you do notice that even now that you're in kind of a very shaded V shape, the sunlight doesn't reach here. And you did know that it was getting late evening, or mid-evening. You can feel that bone chill start to come through.
I will follow Ghost's advice. Pretty much as soon as we sort of land, and we'll take a knee and wrap a headscarf around and cover up on the face and put like a hood sort of over and just sort of wrap up. And do we have torches as well, for light and for warmth.
I have a few things to start fires, but I've got this now for light.
True.
That being said, fuel for fires might be a bit hard to come by in the mountains.
Yeah, you kind of
This is true.
look around and like there's not even like a little bit of a twig coming out here. You kind of look up the mountain as well, and it's a bit of a climb to the top. You've kind of, I'd say maybe 3/4 of the way up. So you're still quite high. You can see that the gorge kind of ends in a distance that way, and that probably leads out to Frostmantle and stuff. Or you could go that way. There's no clear path down or anything. This ledge kind of leads around. Like I said, Dale, you saw little cave pockets and stuff. You saw that some of the paths kind of wound their way down the mountain. Maybe it goes like in a diagonal, and then you've got to climb down to the next diagonal. Like it's not a carved out path, basically.
No, and we don't have a. Do we have a map?
You probably have your world map.
Right, but we have.
I should have maybe thought about that before we landed, but I know we've got to head east from here.
We also have a Patrick who can fly up and hopefully spot some things and tell us which way to go.
This is true. This is very true. Okay, well,
I have torches and basic climbing gear, mittens. Like I said, it was going to be a tough hike to get down through the gorge. If we stick together and just keep at it, we'll probably be okay. I don't have a lot of sunlight left, though.
No.
It's almost that feeling when, it's becoming nighttime, and you find like if you're at someone's house for a barbecue, but their backyard hasn't had sun since midday, and so it's still sunlight. Like you can look up to the sky and it's blue sky, but it's cold where you are because you're like, hold on, why there's no sun here? And you can kind of feel that in the rock face as well, as it feels cold to the touch. Like it hasn't had the sun's warmth during the day.
I'm gonna sort of think about that for a little bit. I know that will take some time, but
what are you thinking?
Well, I was just thinking perhaps there is a more capable bird that I could summon. Patrick as maybe a bit more listening than seeing. Perhaps like a small owl or of some sort. But it will take some time before I can do this.
How much you need?
I believe it would take me 10 minutes or so.
You say this, a bigger gust of wind blows through, and everyone kind of just readjusts their balance, and you see some stones fall past you.
You said there was a little cavelet off this.
Hera saw them spotted around, yeah.
But not on this ledge in particular.
Not like directly, again, because it's on a flat surface, like you can kind of lean out a little bit, but you can't quite see where they are. Unless, like you said, you send out a scout or something. But Hera definitely did see like little cavelet refuges, whether they go into the mountain or whether they are just 10 feet deep. Can't tell from that height, but yeah, because it's a flat surface, you can only go out maybe 5 or 6 feet before you kind of get that vertigo effect.
I also apologize. I was looking at my wrong page in my book. It would take me about 1 hour to do this.
Another gust of wind.
Well, I don't think that's something we can do sitting on a gusty ledge.
Well, we can continue on for now, perhaps. Safely, slowly. It is going to get dark and also colder. I think we should find an inlet to sleep for the evening, perhaps. Maybe somewhere a
Good
bit
idea.
warmer.
You think
Better not-
Patrick's capable enough to find the nearest one? As he is.
Yes, for sure. I will reach into my bag and pull out Patrick.
Did you just throw him out into the air?
It's like a torpedo thing.
Yeah.
Sits my hand like that, and I said, go like that, and he goes.
Nice. You do
I
that.
don't just blip him. It's
Flies around
teamwork.
He's used to it, so he flies out and circles back and lands on your shoulder. Kind of.
Okay. Why don't you go have a look? Something like this, but deeper. See if there's somewhere we can actually go in. No, let him sort of stay sort of around us. Maybe just go back and forth behind and around us within like a 50, 60-foot radius, as I guess we're probably going to be moving along.
Yep.
And just have him sort of looking up if there's an inlet, sort of go and flutter down to the edge, and if it looks deeper than 10 feet, to
Yep.
sort of maybe hop in and just go in and inspect, and if he finds anything suitable or what he sort of knows, I guess, what we're looking for, to come back to me and tell me.
Sure. Give me a perception check on behalf of Patrick.
Ugh, that's good. Mhm. It's only an 11.
That's fine. It doesn't go far. Like, you can actually keep an eye on Patrick. It's more getting that distance out a bit. And before he flies off, he does that kind of like shiver that birds do and puffs out his feathers a little bit, and then flies out. Flies forward, flies backwards, but you almost have to choose a direction. And he says there's nothing straight away, but if you, I think Ghost said you got to head east anyway. So
Yeah. As we're sort of heading that way, I just want him sort of flittering around in case we miss anything. Or...
Yep. Flies out. Are you doing his eyes, or are you just relaying back information?
No, I just want him to see if he can find something, and
Yep.
if he finds something, to come back and find me, and then sort of, because he can semi-communicate.
Yes, I
Can't
think
with
within
his
100
body.
feet.
Yeah.
So flies forward, flies backwards, does a bit of a few loops, goes out. It's quite peaceful, almost, seeing Patrick just soar on these winds, and you see every time a gust comes through, it stretches out its wings and, you know, gets used to the airflow a bit and goes forward, goes back, and everyone else is starting to move along this platform carefully, but not slow, not too slow. You move along. I'd say maybe like 10 minutes passes before Patrick goes just a little bit further than he's been going, and kind of communicates might be something ahead. And you see it kind of dive in. You're kind of coming around a bend almost, and it dives in and disappears from your sight. But you've still got connection with Patrick. You see it, you hear it communicate an opening. Carvings, sticks, leaves. No wind. And then the connection gets cut.
That's almost perfect timing, because I was going to say, as he sort of says carvings, it piques my interest, and then sticks and leaves. Dale knows what it is, but Hera would be confused at sticks and leaves and the importance, and would almost go to put my hand on Molokov. And I'll be back in this. Oh no, I won't. Ooh, something has happened to Patrick. Oh,
As in,
and
he's gone?
I was about to put my hand on Molokov's shoulder and try and look through his eyes. And you see that did I sort of see? Well, it's hard to. He dove in just up there. I was not looking through him, but he said something about uh, some sort of carvings on the walls, some sticks and some leaves, which seems odd. But
In these mountains, extremely
well,
odd.
that's I and then nothing. Then he's gone.
Hey,
So
so
Can I-
mysterious shelter full of carving sticks and leaves, and potentially something that can eat birds.
yes, but I mean birds are not very big. But do we
I
want
look,
to?
I look to Puck and back to Hera.
Hey, whoa. Um, he did say no wind, so it must be a deep section of cave. I don't know if it's worth us moving past it and keeping on looking for somewhere to sleep, or do we investigate and see if we can perhaps take this as our own place to sleep, depending on what is there?
How many how much roughly what time of day is it? What's the sun on the horizon looking like, Grace?
You can't see it on the horizon anymore. We're probably talking 7, 8 p.m.
There's some deep purples to the sky now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we've got much of a choice. Unless you want to climb this mountain in the dark.
The wind is probably only going to get worse.
I think we might need to find some shelter.
Oh, good. Pull out my pistol, rotate the barrel, click it back to the holster. I guess. What's a cave with a mysterious entity in it anyway? We've done worse.
But I would say we should approach with caution.
I don't know if I did last time, Puck, but I'm gonna give you my rope of entanglement.
Thank you.
I should have done this sooner, but if any of us fell, catch us, please. But
No pressure.
seems more useful in your hands.
Okay.
All right. So
The volunteers? Okay, I'll lead.
as you lead, it's not too
Ooh.
far. Go on.
Wait, brain blast. Hold on. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, true sight. Through the side of the hill.
Very nice. As you pull out the lens that Onus gifted you / gave you, and adjust it a little bit, and you can now see, like you did once when he was on the airship, into the kind of ethereal plane. You can actually see the wind currents flowing through this mountain. It helped him a lot when he was steering his ship through tricky terrain. But you focus it in on the mountainside. And it's got a range of about 100 feet, right?
120.
120.
So just
that makes
beyond
all the
the
difference.
communication link.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see the mountain range carries on. It's just thick stone for a lot of it. But then it does seem that there is an opening. Maybe 40, 50 feet deep. There seems to be like a couple of ledges in this opening. There seems to be a bunch of sticks and leaves, almost in a circular fashion, up on one of the ledges. But what's interesting is that there is no winged beast or anything you were expecting. There is a humanoid. Seems to be, from this distance, maybe you could tell it's maybe 5 foot tall. And it is moving its foot in the ground. And its foot is not a foot, it's a hoof. As it seems to be kind of goat, half man. Got a bit of a cloak up over its head, and it's squishing its foot into the ground, maybe where Patrick once was. And moves over to the side of the cave where looks like there's a chest of some sorts. Looks old. You can't, that now you're getting quite to the edge of the distance of the lens, and it's very blurry and kind of ring wraithy. And he seems to be looking through it and pulling things out and looking at it and putting them in his satchel. Seems to be raiding this place, basically, but that's what you see.
Oh. Do I understand what this entity is? Have I ever heard of a satyr?
Give me a history check.
No.
No, I mean, you may have read about beings like minotaurs and stuff, half this, half that. I would say as well that with the encounters you've had with the shifters, this is kind of, it's not surprising, but also you can't put your finger on anything of what this could be. It could be what you've read about, but it could also be its own thing. You're up in the mountains.
It's a person thing.
Oh, what's a person?
And what?
The thing that didn't eat Patrick. Has hooves, little horns, 5 foot tall, human-ish. Like very, very tiny minotaur, but looks friendlier and like he's in a hurry.
Can't be too friendly if it took out Patrick. Sorry, Harry.
I mean, I have to be on Harry's side. Patrick is just a bird.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you say he seems to be in a hurry. You think if we bide our time, he will just leave?
Possible. I can
If
only
he's
do
in
this
a
for 10
hurry-
minutes, though.
If he's in a hurry, is that because something bigger and badder is coming back?
Okay. Now, yeah. Okay.
I feel like the only one who knows the answer to that question is that guy.
Shall we go say hello?
Seems like a good plan.
I think we probably should.
Maybe he knows a bit about the mountainsides. Might be helpful, actually.
You do know that he's about 100 feet, or I'd say, as you go around the mountain, maybe 80 feet away, so it's not far. And the closer you get, you do start seeing that opening in the side of the cave, but how you approach is up to you.
I look to Puck. Friendly or stealthy?
You saw him. I suppose I'll take your lead on it, but I'm happy to go. I can go and hide and get myself in an advantageous position before you call him out, maybe.
Good plan.
All right.
Anyone opposed to this?
I'll do that.
Why am I always the one who tries to make friends? All right. Okay. All right.
Sure. So you're going ahead to the opening of the cave?
Depending on what the opening is like, I might go like to the top of the behind and up onto the top of the thing so I can look down, or somewhere where I can get a bit of a line of sight into the cave.
Sure.
Depending on what's around, something to hide behind where I won't be able to be seen, but when they call out and speak to him, I'll be able to get a bead.
Sure. So the opening of the cave, you come around and you see that it's about maybe 15, 20 feet wide, and it kind of just joins up with the mountain. It'd be a bit hard to go above. You'd have to kind of climb up onto the thing and kind of look down. But you can go either side of the cave, and you kind of peek in as well. I'll get a stealth check in a second. And you see the same thing. There's a couple of little ledges. You see that there's carvings on the wall. It looks I don't think you speak Druidic, but it looks very fanciful, and symbols and stuff like that all around the walls. And there is a bit of vines and stuff growing within this cave as well. But off to the left-hand side, you see this kind of half goat, half man, bent over into this old rugged chest, and he pulls out old parchment and throws that, and then see he pulls out like a gemstone and puts that in his pocket, and he's kind of minding his own thing. But also what you notice is this nest up in the corner, and it does seem to have eggs in it. But he
does it look like a giant bird nest kind of thing, or
kind of that, yeah, like quite large. And these eggs are probably yoga ball sized. But give me a stealth check.
Stealth, that's a 13 on my dice, and that makes it a total of
42.
Sure.
Rogue is a skill monkey. I'm
you see him putting this stuff in his pouch. He is paying no attention to you at all.
Does he seem to be like looking out and concerned something's coming back?
No, not
That's
yet.
what I was conscious of before we went in.
No, he's not been quiet either.
Okay.
Pulls out a little trinket, like whatever is in this container. He's obviously found some loot of some sort. Just throws it and it bounces off the wall. Tink, 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 tink. Like, yeah. He's not being quiet.
Cool. I will sort of look back across to the others and sort of nod that I'm in position. I've got my crossbow ready, trained on the guy. Like I want it to be pretty close because I don't have great range.
Yep.
But yeah, hidden.
Yeah, sure.
I'm meandering myself around the side of this cliff, and I guess I get to the entrance.
Are you being stealthy, or are you just approaching?
I guess kind of cautious until right before the entrance, then like, okay, making a friend, like tidy my hair up, pull my scarf down, and then I'm just not stealthy.
Just walking in.
Coming out of the front.
As you do, and so you're at the front, Kira, you're probably beside, and then Molokov's at the back, even though I think Ian's dropped out for the session, but that's all good. You approach, and even though you can like do your hair and walk in without being stealthy, you see he is almost bent over this chest now. His hooves kind of like kick up a little bit as he reaches down and pulls something out and puts it in a satchel. And one thing you do notice is a little black soot mark on the ground near him as well, which might have been the remnants of Sir Patrick.
Just hold both my hands up. Think in my head, like, try to come up with any sort of line of like, how do I say I'm not dangerous? Well,
I think it might cut out. Or are you on mute? No. New headphones not as good as he thinks they are. Harry, are you doing anything to prepare? We still can't hear you, Michael.
No, I was gonna say I'll probably just be sort of following, maybe like 5 foot behind Ghost.
Yeah.
I guess with Molotov sort of maybe next to me with like we'll see Ghost pulling his face mask and stuff off and do the same. I don't really want to hold an action because I think
Sure.
as far as I see, he's pretty safe. But probably we'll, I guess, if we come into the edge of that opening and I can see the eggs and stuff, we'll start thinking about that side of it and probably just be sort of listening out to the wind and
Sure.
to just be cautious of
Right.
our six.
Uh-huh. You back, Ghost?
All right, am I back?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
No. Oh. I mean, you can hear me. I can't hear you. One second. Change.
It wouldn't
this.
be a game without this, would it?
All right. Mission success.
Yes.
Hey.
So your hands are up. You're approaching. Here is just behind you, preparing.
Sorry, we were just looking for shelter.
You hear clatter, 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 and this humanoid spins around to you, holding like a dagger. Spins around and goes, huh, huh, huh. And you realize he's looking past you. As behind you, you hear the sound of almost like an elk call. Hera, you feel the wind change. And behind you, you guys see this.
Oh,
And I'd like everyone to roll initiative, please.
dear God.
So, as this guy turns around and is shocked that you're there, he screams, "Ah!" And then he goes, "Ah!" And almost points behind you as you all turn around and see this Periton flying in, its wings. This pretty big creature as well. Its head of like an elk with the horns coming up seems to be flying home to roost in its nest. It is pretty low on initiative, as well as this stranger you have met. So, as Ghost, you turn around and you might signal to the party, to everyone. Oh, sorry, you're not going first. Puck is going first.
I'm so not first.
I didn't reorder them. Puck, you got your crossbow trained on this guy. He turns around and he waves his dagger, and you almost pull that trigger, but then you hear that beast behind you. What would you like to do?
Shit.
I think that's a constitution check.
Hang on, so I've got this thing in the way I can't really see.
It's only a check if it's intentional.
True.
Yes, true. If I my yeah, cool. I am going to shoot it with my hand crossbow. That's a 19 on the dice for a total of well in excess of 20. Total of 28 to hit.
28 to hit. That'll hit, definitely.
Great. And then unfortunately it's not sneak attack, so just regular damage. Oh, that's pretty good. That's 12 points of... Is it now radiant damage, or is it just magical damage? Magical piercing?
It's just It's just magical.
Yeah, cool. So 12 points of magical piercing.
Nice. You do...
And I will...
Bolt goes through one of its wings, and it kind of reacts to it as it's still flying in.
Yep, seeing that, I'm going to shoot again at the same... Like, obviously, just not just for flavor, but shoot at the same wing, just trying to really take it down. Yep, so I'll do that. I'll shoot again with my bonus action to reload and shoot. And that is a 21 to hit.
That'll hit. Go for damage.
That is 11 points of piercing.
Nice. Two solid hits on it. Yep.
Then I'm going to move, because I don't want to be there.
Nice.
Yep, that's the wrong tool. Puck's going to come in. Probably going to put himself... Yeah, tucked into that corner there. And sort of just glaring down at the satyr and just sort of making sure he doesn't try to attack his friends, kind of thing.
Sure. Give me a perception check.
Yep. My passive perception is 18. My perception check is a 11 plus perception 19.
19. I think, yeah, between the two of it, you see this thing coming and you need to get to shelter, so you kind of push yourself up against the wall as you normally do, try and make yourself as small and hidden as possible. As you do on that specific point, thankfully, you notice the rocks behind you kind of shift. You feel a bit of a breeze coming from behind some of the rocks. It looks like that this spot here is blocked to something. But anyway, that breeze kind of goes past your hair, and we go to Hera. It was that square specifically that you like leaned up against, and the rock's like.
I'm probably going to do a very similar thing to what friend Buck has done, and that's going to be fire, then tuck and roll. So I'm going to cast pull out my wand and cast a ray of sickness.
Ooh.
At the strange bird thing. So that's going to be a 24 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit for sure. You guys are really good at hitting things.
So that's going to be 10 poison damage.
Nice.
Sort of
and is
green
it
beam
poisoned?
at the end of it. That's a good question, actually. And must make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, low on the dice. Okay, on the bonus, we got a 9 total.
9 total. That's going to fail, so it is poisoned until the end of my next turn.
Poisoned. Now, remind me what poisoned is in D&D. Is it just disadvantage?
Disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks.
I feel like it should do damage each turn, but anyway, that's a conversation for another time.
There's a difference between the poisoned condition and being poisoned.
Being poisoned. Attack rolls and ability checks. All right, but disadvantage is good. So as the ray hits it, you see some of its feathers kind of shrivel up a bit, and it loses a bit of altitude, but this thing is coming in hot. Anything else for you here?
I'm just going to move myself sort of up into the corner, sort of seeing what Puck's done, and get over to there.
Yep. I'm going to say that Malikov is, for the sake of this, moving in and out.
I'll probably call Malikov along with me.
Yep.
But that's about it.
Oh, good. Ghost. Out in the open.
Oh, this thing's coming towards me. I'm like, a moment of like, oh shit, and then a moment of, well, now's a better time than ever. And I pull that leather sling that I was working on earlier, and around comes a massive fucking lightning gun.
Yes, it is.
Gonna like, go to like try and charge it up. Something doesn't work. Click something into place, and it's like, all right, take aim.
Yeah,
I'm a fire this thing.
As you pull the crank on this, pull the lever crank. It does it, and you see it go whoom, 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 and it like loads itself up, and you see the sparks start going around it. Take aim.
I shall indeed. This is a full power shot for as much power as I can put in it. So 4 charges. And my proficiency bonus to attack rolls with a magic weapon. If you're proficient with all martial, I am indeed. If you prefer to spell, I don't know lightning damage, but that's okay. Okay, so I can do that. Yep, cool. All right, I'm shooting, firing my laser.
Pew, pew.
Oh, Melissa.
That is a 19 to hit.
Major laser. Hits it, and this thing just get like it almost stops its heart palpitation for a second, it's like, as it takes the damage and falters quite significantly. Go over damage.
Woo. That's a decent roll. 26 points of lightning damage.
Ooh. Nice. It like falls down and it's still approaching the ledge, but you can tell that the lightning singed some of its feathers off. And that's a big hit, but it is now focused in on these intruders.
Oh yeah, it is. I'll just suddenly, unexpectedly, it like has a little aftershock. I'll use the extra attack feature.
Oh yes, nice.
So just one charge. That's more to hit.
Nice. You have damage.
For another single point of damage.
1 point of damage.
Wait,
is all that matters in the end.
Do I add anything to the damage? No.
I don't believe so, no.
Ah, wait. For the attack roll and to modify the damage. So sorry, add 4 to each of those, so 8 total.
8 total. Nice.
And I go, yes! And see it's still coming towards me and go, shit! And I will cast Sanctuary on myself.
Nice. Sanctuary being that it can't attack you directly?
It can try.
Sure. So, what happens is this thing comes in for the landing and crashes into the side. Boom! You feel the mountain shake. You hear the goat man behind you give out a little yelp as this thing rears itself up. You see its eyes darting around of all these things that are hurting it. It's a bit confused, and it gives out that that call that stags make when it's and it pulls up its wings and blasts wind blast into the cave. So I need everyone to make a strength save, please.
That's not good.
What'd you get, Ghost? Natty 1. Hera?
It's a 14.
And Puck?
19.
And an 11 for our friend. Puck, you feeling this rock move, grab onto it, noting that it sticks out a little bit, and you kind of get pushed up. The wind kind of makes you close your eyes, but everyone else gets blown 30 feet. That way. That way. And this guy into the wall, unfortunately taking 7 points of bludgeoning damage. As he and you guys go prone as well, unfortunately.
Did I not also go into the wall?
I think that was just 30 feet, but I'll do you a d4. That's 3 points of bludgeoning damage. It was a d8 for the other guy, so...
Did I also hit something? I think I haven't moved 30 feet.
That's the...
Yeah. Up to you.
No, it's only a solid wall that does the damage, so you're fine there. Blasts it out like that, and then kind of treks forward a little bit into the cave. Like that. Kira, you notice that you were next to a bunch of eggs that are here. They're probably 3-4 feet big. And that brings us to the satyr's turn as he kind of gets up and holds his head. He grabs his bag satchel, and you see like a little ruby fall out of it. He doesn't care. What he does is he's going to... He's going to roll a d6 to decide what he's going to do. He's going to run up beside you, Puck. Right up next to you into the thing. And he's going to be like, we need to get out of here. And that'll be his turn. As he's still holding his dagger, but he doesn't attack you. So yeah,
Cool.
gets up from his prone, moves half movement there, and he's basically he's almost trying to get behind you as sorts. But that brings us back to the top of the round where you are.
I probably, with his dagger out, Puck's probably swung around and trained his crossbow on him.
Yeah.
But seeing that he's not attacking him and there's a much bigger threat. Now, am I hidden? Does this thing know where I am? Because I ran inside before it got here.
I'm gonna give you what's your passive?
Passive.
It's
Me or
no, I'm just looking. What its passive perception is 15. So give me a stealth check.
Stealth. No, I rolled a 3, which makes it a 14.
14. So it's clocked you there, I'm going to say. So you're not hidden mechanically, but it's not focused on you.
Okay, cool. I would like to try and use Molokov to give me an advantage.
Yeah.
Attack.
Yep.
Maybe he moves or he shifts a rock and it like looks over at him kind of thing as it comes in.
Yep.
So I'd like to use that to be able to get sneak attack damage.
Yes, perfect.
Cool. So I'm going to take my attack at it. That's a 15 to hit plus 9, so 24 to hit.
Ooh, that hits.
I feel like I got more of a reaction for the 24 than I did for the 28 before.
Yeah.
You're both like, ooh.
I think it was the plus 9 that got.
Yeah, that's the +1 weapon. Cool. So that's sneak attack damage. That is that's 4, right? Yeah, 3 plus that 1. Yeah, cool. All right. Cool. So that is 5, 8, 11 plus 17 points of magical piercing / just whatever damage.
Yep, nice. You think it's starting to look hurt. It's being torn apart. It's being electrocuted. This thing it's chunky, but you guys are really good at putting out damage.
Yeah, and then I will quickly reload and shoot it again.
Go for it.
That's a 16, so 20 something, 24, 25 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
And that is 10 points of piercing.
Love.
It's looking pretty hurt.
It's looking relatively hurt, yeah. Below half, I'd say.
No, I'm not going to charge in. I think I'm just going to stay there and turn around at the guy and be like, "Are you going to help?"
Sure.
And that'll be my turn.
All right, Hera. You're prone, remember?
Yeah, yes, I am. I suppose I will get up, so that's half my movement.
Yep.
And then I will move 5 foot and just sort of push myself up against the side of that. I assume that's like a little bit raised.
Yeah.
It's like a little mound thing. So I push myself up against the side of that. And to be fair, I think I'm just going to cast another Ray of Sickness at him. I'll just be getting a bit more frustrated and I'll cast it just with a bit more gusto at a slightly higher level. That'll definitely hit. It's like a 27.
Yep, sure.
So it's going to be 14 more poison damage.
Yeah.
And he will have to make another Constitution save. But because he's already poisoned till the end of my turn, that'll be a disadvantage.
Well, I rolled two 5s on the dice, so he is poisoned yet again.
Poisoned still. And I will sort of just let the spell go with a bit more, and then probably see it sort of look at me and fuck it, and we'll use the rest of my movement to tuck myself down and just sort of be like back up against the wall there.
Yep.
Trying to sort of not hiding, but trying to not be in direct line of sight.
For sure. As this sickness hits him, you see it almost gets out of breath a bit and tries to like roar but can't quite get it out, and then looks over at you and you see its eggs, and you hide behind it and it just rears itself up. Ghost, you see this as well.
Not the kind of time for Ghost having brain can't think of words. Moral dilemmas around. Oh, it's just a mother trying to protect its babies.
Put that in the other words of this thing's trying to kill you.
Yeah. I will stand up. Do I do it again? Yeah, I'll do it again. Why not? Hoi. Roaster venison? Make an attempt. Oh, it's a good roll. It's a 23 to hit.
Oh, that sure will hit. Plus your addition as well.
Oh, come on. That's Michael. Okay, not as good as last time. 19 points of lightning, plus 23 points of lightning damage.
Nice. As the lightning hits it, it singes up like a scar across its chest, and it yells out in pain. It kind of like falters to the ground. It's pretty much on its last legs.
And the discharge? Unless a 13 hits, the static shock just hits the wall.
A 13 does not hit. It bounces off.
There we go. Hera, might want to move. I think I'm just going to back up a little. Yeah, I'll hit the wall.
Nice.
That's it.
All right. As it kind of like pulls itself back up, it gets up, it tries to beat its wings, and you feel a little bit of gust blow through the cave, but it definitely doesn't have the strength anymore to do that. So what it will do is it's going to fly straight past Puck and land on its nest here. And it's going to make... What does it do here? It's going to try and gore you, Ghost, for that big shot.
Yay.
So, one gore attack and one talent attack. It's going to go one at you, one at Hera. So, first attack on you, Ghost.
Uh-huh.
That's good. That's a 19.
I will silvery barbs it.
Oh, so disadvantage?
Actually,
it's disadvantaged anyway. Like it's just before you do the silvery barbs, it's disadvantaged because of the poison. Still a 16 on it.
So I will still silvery barbs it.
So you disadvantage the disadvantage?
Re-roll the d20 and use the lower roll. So
so you get to re-roll one of them. So I guess you re-roll the higher one of the two.
Yeah.
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 That's a 14.
That misses.
See this claw come out and just crash into the rocks as this thing's kind of flailing around at the moment. It's going wild almost, but it turns to Hera and uses its talons to swing out. This will be a disadvantage too.
I'll give the advantage from silver barbs to Puck.
Gotcha. Oh, that is a 14 on the lowest roll.
14 is my AC.
14 JC. As you kind of like see it crash into the rocks next to Ghost, you kind of think you're safe, and then you see a talon come towards you, and you try and scamper out of the way, but it just carves down like your back calf or something. And that's going to do... Where are we? 14 points of piercing damage.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
To add insult to injury, Hera, when the silvery barb strikes, you get this like bright red flash in the back of your head, and you take 1 point
Ooh.
of force damage.
PvP,
Sorry.
excuse you.
Thanks, bud.
Cool. You turn to this guy, Puck, as this thing has flown past you guys and is attacking your teammates, and he's like, and he looks at you with your crossbow and goes, "You sort that out." And he's going to try and shove you away. So I need a contested strength check. Well, not great.
Yeah, it's not bad for me. So strength.
Strength.
Just straight strength?
Yep.
That's a 16.
He got a 15. As like he tries to like push you to the ground or like push you away from him, and you kind of like get shoved, but you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, and he is going to then try and just run out here.
I will take my opportunity attack.
Oh, sure. Go for it.
This guy just attacked me.
Shit.
Okay. That's a... So this will be with my swiftly drawn rapier.
Yes.
Well, my rapier in the other hand, I guess. That's a modified 20 to hit.
You definitely hits him. Go for damage.
That is 11 points of piercing.
He tries to shove you out of the way in his attempt to get out of this situation, and you're like having none of it. You draw your rapier and just slice across his back leg. And as you do, he falters, trips, and hits his head on the rock and falls unconscious.
Yeah, cool. Because I wasn't trying to kill him, but yeah, that's exactly what I would have done. Like the leg. Okay.
That brings us to the he falls and his like pouch like hits the ground, and like the gems kind of shatter off, like two fall off the edge of the cliff. But yeah, he is knocked unconscious. But it is your turn, Puck.
That's so funny. Yep. Probably like stab after the guy, kind of watch him fall, and just keep spinning, and turn around with the other hand and fire off. What do I have? I have an advantage. Is that right?
Yeah, so part of Silvery Barbs is you give disadvantage, but then you choose one other creature and give it one use of advantage it can use within the next minute.
And then another creature to damage.
Yeah, that's just me.
Cool. I will shoot this guy with my advantage getting sneak. Not this guy, sorry, the Periton.
Yep.
Sneak attack advantage damage business. That's a 15 on the dice, so that's what I'm going 24.
That'll hit.
And that's a lot of damage. That is what's that? 10, 16, 17, 18 plus 6. So 24 points of piercing, magical piercing.
Nice. How do you want to do this?
Yeah, as I said, so the slash and then the spin around, and then just sort of see the beast just sort of like lulling and its head sort of rotating. Just sort of takes that half a second just to adjust the aim just slightly and shoots it off back, like top of the back of the neck.
Yep.
Severing the spinal cord kind of thing.
Nice.
And it's just gonna collapse down.
Yep. And it does in a big heap of feathers and mass. It just poof, and the dust kind of flicks up into your guys' faces, but you then realize that this thing is dead and not moving.
Does someone want to help me with this guy? I point over at the unconscious satyr.
Hell happened?
And you see from like the other side of the slumped body, you just see like a bloody hand of Hera pop up with a thumbs up, like, yeah, good, yeah.
Yeah, bring him over. Hera, you just waddle yourself this way.
I think I'm actually gonna cast false life on myself.
Oh yeah, whoa! Don't just. I got it. Come here. I'll give you a second level cure wounds.
Oh, very nice.
It's 2 stim pack needles.
You see, like, on like the back, like sort of lower ribs of hair, there's just like a thumb and then 4 finger prongs from where the talon got it. Just like little punctures on her fucking side.
Let's see if I can help you out with that. You may have, plus my spellcasting modifier, 13 hit points.
Nice.
Unless you're undead or a construct.
Ah.
Surprise, he's a warforged.
No, that
Then-
feels much better. Oh my goodness. Where is that little man?
Yeah, Puck, you go over and this guy is out cold. Not dead or dying. But I mean, he's kind of bleeding out a little bit, but
Yeah.
stable.
The dying on him as well.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna search his pockets in the bag and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Give me an investigation, please.
Investigation. That's a 23.
Nice. On him, he has got his little iron dagger. Probably wouldn't amount to much. Maybe a D4 would be a critical hit on it. He's got a couple of maybe like 20 foot of rope, a bit of climbing gear. But looking at him as well, like, yeah, it seems like he is like half goat, half man, bottom half with the hooves, horns coming out of his head. Looks kind of young-ish. But yeah, got that big cut down the back of his leg now as well. And in his satchel, which is obviously filled from this treasure crate, is 8 gems worth 10 gold pieces each, and 1 potion of healing.
Great.
What kind of-
Along with other bits of just trinkets and stuff like that. Nothing worth mentioning, just kind of bits and bobs, and
Yep.
looks like he's scavenging almost.
I will also then go and have a look at the chest as well afterwards. But yeah, it's just a regular potion of healing, which I think was the question being asked.
Regular potion of healing.
Yep.
And as you go over to the chest, it looks like he's cleared it out pretty much. There's some old parchments and stuff in it, but yeah, he's cleared it out. It wasn't huge. More of like a loot box rather than a chest, I would say. Left here by some adventurer long ago before this thing occupied the cave, kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of pick him up under the arms and like drag him over and sort of lean him up against the feathery rear end of Perryton.
Sure.
And then while Puck's milling around doing his things, and then I'll use my healing hands ability
Okay. How
just
many?
to stem the bleeding.
You just want to stabilize him, or you want to heal him back awake?
I mean, it will heal him for hit points.
Sure. I'm going to give you the choice.
I guess I'll look to Puck. Did he really do you that dirty?
I mean, he didn't help us, and he tried to run away.
I think looking
Well,
as
I
well,
mean-
Ghost, you do see that it's his head injury that's caused him to fall unconscious. The cut is deep, sure, but that wasn't enough to kill it, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's just unconscious and stable. Well, I mean, he might have info. Or we can let him sleep for the night. It's... No, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. We're making friends here. I've done him a service, I guess. Besides, you've got a shit, right?
Yes. I might rope of entanglement him as you wake him up.
Sure, you tie him up.
That's one way.
Hero, are you doing
Oh.
anything during this time?
Yeah. sort of while chuckle like that, Ghost and Puck are sort of I guess while Ghost walks over and is grabbing and dragging this guy, and I think Puck was sort of around that area as well. I would have been sort of around the dead body of the beast, sort of just like walking up and around and over it, and probably take a second and while no one's looking, maybe bend down and sort of pick up one of the eggs. Are they quite? They're like massive.
Yeah, like think of like a
Maybe not pick one up, but just sort of
yeah,
inspect them and I guess maybe put my hand on them, see how warm they feel or cold they feel.
Sure. I'm not sure what the right answer is supposed to be here, but they feel like they were like this thing has gone out today and come back. Like
yeah. Molotov, just give me one minute. And I know this is a big beast, but I will see if I can get Molotov to almost just give it like a couple little shoves, and then not to move it, but then I'll get him to sort of come up, and I want me and Molotov to almost pull its wing out, and then cover the eggs with the wing to keep them warm.
good thinking. Yeah, no check required. Between you and Molotov, you kind of readjust it, and you're not identifying, like you're not investigating this creature. You're kind of just moving it to cover its eggs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But then once we cover the eggs, I would like to ask Molotov to her, do you think perhaps we should remove these? And I'll run my hand up and down its antlers.
Oh, sure. Okay, can you give me... It is monstrosity, so a nature skill check, please.
A hunter with a conscience, eh?
Well, I thought about taking the eggs, but if they seem like they might have a chance, then it's better for the ecosystem to leave them alive.
Sure, 3 of these could easily be not a problem.
Yeah, definitely with the rotting corpse of their mother,
yeah,
keeping them.
That's a natural 20.
Yep, for a total of
28.
Yeah, cool. So you get all the information. Okay, so this is a Puriton. As you look around, you've read about these. Maybe you cast your mind back to a book or a bestiary or something like that. And although this thing is dead and bleeding out, you could probably get about 3 vials of Puriton blood. Puritons have a reddish purple blood. A Puriton is believed to be created from a curse long ago that has melded these monsters together, or some kind of magical experiment got out of hand, so the texts say. As such, the blood has some arcane properties, which will be useful for spellcasters and alchemists. So you can add 3 vials of Puriton blood, should you choose to take it. Puriton feathers. You could probably fill a pouch of these. A Puriton is covered in a lush coat of soft feathers of various colours. The feathers can be used in apparel, decorations, bedding, arrows, and bolts. So you can add 20 gold pieces worth of ammunition or decoration material. Then you come to what you had your hands on, the Puriton antlers. A Puriton has a set of large, branching bone-like protrusions on top of its head, similar to a buck. The antlers are covered in a thin layer of skin with soft fur that feels like velvet. The antlers are as strong as steel and can be used by craftsmen and weaponsmiths to create various items. They are also a prized trophy for hunters. So you can add 2 antlers was trying to think. Does antlers mean the pair, or is an antler? Yeah. So okay, so you can add one pair of antlers.
Yeah.
And then finally, with a DC of 25, the Periton Heart. A Periton's Heart is a red mass, and you can choose whether you want to take this or not. Same with all the above. Periton's Heart is a red mass of flesh covered in veins. The heart throbs with magical energy, which slowly begins to fade once the creature is killed. Whether that energy is a result of the long suffered curse of the species, or because the creature is a magical creation, is unknown. Spellcasters, and especially artificers, may be able to use and adapt this energy.
Well, sort of, I guess going over that, I'll maybe start with the thing, and I'll start thinking about things I do sort of maybe recognize this creature and different magical qualities of it, and we'll think about the different things. Probably take everything except the feathers. At large, I might pluck a feather and maybe at some point see if I can get Molokov to fasten it to my earring of message. Just to make it look cool.
Yeah, I'll say you can have that feather for cosmetic purposes, but if you're leaving the feathers, especially to keep the eggs warm, you're not going to be able to sell them or anything like that.
No. I don't want to sell the feathers. I will mention that they have some aesthetic value to the others if anyone wants. But this might be interesting to you and Molokov Ghost.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's quite a magical, but it will only lose its powers the longer we leave it. If you want to inspect or have a look at this.
Can't say I've worked with beating hearts before. Well, it might be something we can do with it. Yeah, hold on to it, I guess. I'll take a look later.
Throw it in the bag holding.
Let me deal with this fella first.
Some sort of cloth, I guess.
Sure. Again, it's not beating, it's emanating a bit of magical energy. The sense you get is that it could give something a bit of a boost.
Goes in with the Dragolith heart you have in your bag.
Hear us, breaker of hearts.
Collector of hearts.
Smoking darts and breaking hearts.
At this point, I'll heal his wounds and bring him back to consciousness.
It tries to like wiggle and gets caught in the rope of entanglement. Oh.
Look, I'm sorry, we really got off on the wrong foot there. Big feathery beast.
Yeah. What were you thinking bringing it back here? I was just about to head home and you... Oh, well, I suppose thanks are in order for killing the beast. What is the meaning of this? I mean you no harm. It still tries to like struggle and...
I'm sorry. He kind of shoved my buddy.
Buck is probably like at the wall that was there before, just sort of, he hasn't really investigated it yet mechanically, but he's there sort of looking at it and then just sort of like turns around very slowly and glares back at the guy just to sort of...
Look, you must understand, I can't use his arms. You must understand, heat of battle, and getting a mistake purely that you were in the way. You must understand. I can't fight this thing. I'm not a hero or anything like that, but you guys seem to have been fine by yourselves. Now, if you just take these ropes off, I will be on my way, and you can carry on, and we will have a nice day. But they're quite tight, aren't they? They're just, if you don't mind just maybe loosening them around... It's a bit hard to breathe in here, is it? Is that just me? Is that... we're just...
Look, we understand that you're minding your own business, but we're kind of hoping we could pick your brains a little bit about how to get the fuck down off this mountain.
Pick my brains.
Maybe
Don't
we could
you
work
dare
together.
come near my brain with any pick of any kind. My brains are
Oh
for
no, 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 literal. Oh man, this is impossible. Like share information. You know, you said we're very capable, and clearly we are because we defeated the thing, and you seem to know your way around.
Well, of course. I grew up on these mountains. I suppose thanks are in order. Can I repay you in any way or form? Take as much from the pouch as you want. I can always go out and scout again.
Yes. Thank you. Who are you? Why are you here?
My deepest apologies. Man, they are quite tight, aren't they? My name is Nemos. And for why I'm here, well, I suppose, well, we're kind of just collecting as much material as we can to appease the mountain. Well, that's what the chief says, anyway.
We?
Yes, me and my clan.
Are they all like you?
I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Well, we're all quite different. I'll look around our group.
He takes notice. He's like, odd to travel with such a difference between you. No, me and my clan, we've been in the mountains for years now. All the recent activity, we well, got to appease the mountain, as the chief says. Go out and collect. Go on.
Recent activity. What has been happening? I'm going to start taking off the rope of entanglement.
Oh, thank goodness! It kind of relaxes a little bit and puts his head into the feathers of the periton behind him. Yes, well, I'm sure you know if you've come up from one of the villages nearby that activity in the mountains. Well, they're making something big. I don't get told all the information, but they need metals. Obviously, always demanding more, and yes, we get told to find what we can and bring back to the village, and the chief kind of sorts out the rest. Ever since they started talking with the outsiders, I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, you mentioned
this.
Go Puck.
How long ago did this start with these outsiders?
Oh, let me think. Maybe a few weeks now.
Sorry, Ghost, you had a question.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, you mentioned them. Who are the outsiders?
I don't mind the business of the chief. Wouldn't want to cross paths with her or her husband's. Oh, yes, they're getting in a bit of trouble there. But anyway, my job: go out, find any metals or anything that we can melt down, and basically take it into the mountain.
Metals for forging?
Who knows? I go out. I'm quick. I'm nimble. I'm not a blacksmith or any sort of. Well, tell you what. If you come back to the village, I'm sure we can reward you with food and shelter, and you don't want to be staying out in these mountains for too long. Why are you here?
I'm gonna leave that one to Ghost.
Funnily enough, we also came to investigate the activity in the mountain.
Investigate, you say? Well, what are you trying to find?
Well, we've heard tales. I spent some time north of here a few years back, and I knew of the area. I knew of the powers that the fires in the mountain provide. When a sudden burst of activity pops up, it seems unusual.
Of course, yes. Well, I'm sure I can.
Sorry, we should introduce ourselves. You can call me Ghost. This is Hera Malikov, and looks at Puck.
Puck.
Pleasure to meet you. If you wanted, I can grant you an audience with Chief Kara.
Chief Kara, you say?
Cartha. Chief Cartha.
Cartha, you say? Well, I mean, that would be a start. Don't, it is a little concerning to us that there is another party here involved.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Not
they
entirely a surprise.
climbed the mountain a few weeks ago. Well, very generous though, and we try our best to extend our hospitality to anyone that comes through the clan.
your clan. They do you reside near the Frost Mantle?
No, we're here up here in the mountains. One of the ledges. Haven't really given it a name. Anyway, we farm and we sustain ourselves and eat and drink every night and try and be as happy as we can be. We're not. You see, he kind of like pauses for a second. Always welcome down by the villages.
Oh, I see. That kind of fits in with the standard of dwarven hospitality. I apologize on their behalf.
Oh, no, don't worry. We've been dealing with it for years. Not everyone's always a fan of. He kind of looks down at his hooves. It's okay. We learn to live with it. We make good food, though.
I wish I could say I've heard stories. Well, any friend of the land and a people with a humble existence is a friend of ours. I think we'd be happy to travel with you, and if you don't mind introducing us to your tribe.
Of course. I'm sure they'll be ecstatic to meet more travelers and investigate in the mountains. We will give you food and wine, and we have tobacco, and we have beer, and we have he's just listing off all these things. You can rest, and I'm sure that we can figure out what all this is all about.
We must stay with these people.
Yes. I would be happy to show you my own concoction that I've been working on. Hera, was it?
Yes.
And like I said, I will grant you an audience with our chief, and you can discuss all these questions that are too big for my little brain.
Can I insight check if he's just bullshitting about not really knowing what's going on?
Sure. Give me an insight roll.
It's pretty good. Insight. 18.
18. I'm gonna do he's not bullshitting about not knowing everything. But with an 18, it's a little bit too friendly. Is what you're getting. But he carries on talking to Hera. He says, "Oh, this blend. I've used the leaves from snowberries and blah blah blah." You know, he's almost. I think what you pick up on is that like he picks up that Hera was interested in the tobacco, and now he's just doubling down on that.
Is it safe with your chieftain for us, for outsiders?
Oh, of course. Like I said, our hospitality goes to anyone that comes across our village and our farms, and we'd love to share the work that we've been working on with it.
No deal with these other outsiders to bring them people who might be looking for things in the mountain?
Oh, well, I mean, the more the merrier, right? I haven't seen them in quite some time. I believe they're spending quite a lot of time inside the mountain.
Which mountain is that, sorry?
This one. It's not too far from here, maybe a couple of hours walk, if you're careful on the ledges.
Might take us a little extra time. Don't have the looks at my own feet. Natural utensils that you do.
That's perfectly fine. Once we get to the village, I can guarantee you there is a nice, soft, feathery bed waiting towards you. And maybe some omelets too.
Those are going to be some big omelets.
Oh, yes. And the spices we use are just divine.
Why don't you give us a minute to put our things back together and check our bits?
Of course.
Might want to stretch your legs a little. That might leave a scar. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he kind of turns around and looks at his leg. Again, I was only trying to... Anyway, he gets up and starts tidying himself off, but kind of moves just not to the mouth of the cave, because he's not kind of trying to run away kind of thing, but he leaves you to your own space.
I'll kind of like walk over this way and put down the pack and like seem like I'm doing things, but I'll kind of just nudge Puck as I head over in that direction, assuming he's sort of walked a little further away.
Yeah.
And then, as quietly as I can, what do you think?
Well, I think that it probably is the best bet to find out what's going on here. That being said, if they have allied themselves with our enemies, that's not great.
Well, we kind of knew that one of them was going to be here regardless. Although, it seems to miss the mark. If I remember correctly, whoops. On that map that we saw,
Yeah.
there's so many things. Oh, it is just on the mountain range. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a specific point as such that they were looking for, which would make sense as to why they were just have landed somewhere and now disappeared into the mountain. Perhaps they are searching or looking. I don't know if I sort of look out towards him. I don't know, to be fair, if I trust this man, or there's something just not right about him. But if we keep our wits and perhaps not sleep soundly, keep a watch still, like we normally do, it's still a good spot for a rest for the evening.
For sure. Well, we're gonna come across one or the other, whether it's Dorosco or Claw. Proceed with caution.
We knew there was danger when we left to come up here.
Yeah. What's a little extra spice?
It does seem like it is a good place to rest our feet, though, if I'm not going to lie. I'll sort of check my pouch with enough tobacco to maybe roll 1.5 cigarettes left in it.
Somewhere with warm fire, food, and a relatively comfortable place to sleep. Small chance of getting murdered in the night. I like those chances.
I think it's our best bet, anyway.
Did you have a look in that chest over there, Puck? Is there anything else interesting that we should grab while we're here?
No, not really. Just a few odds and ends. But the interesting things were here: some gems and this potion of healing.
Well, I mean, if there's nothing else for us to check out.
Guilty in the background. Okay.
Well, I suppose there was this, and I'll go back over to there.
That's a wall.
Yeah. Sorry?
I said that's a wall, Puck.
Well, you can feel the wind coming through it. going to start pulling away some stones and trying to work out what's behind it.
Sure.
All right. Actually, were
Yeah.
there carving paintings on the wall in here?
There was. Do you speak Druidic?
Did I what, sir?
Do you speak Druidic?
No, I do not.
They don't make any sense, but there's carvings and paintings on the wall. They've aged quite a bit. But yeah, Puck, you
Like
start.
a second, I'll probably think that that's what Puck means when he walks towards the wall, and I'll start looking. They make no sense to me.
Is there symbology of the mountain on the walls?
Do you speak Druidic?
Don't.
Can't quite decipher what they mean. Maybe there are some like triangle symbols, but they're unsure. Unsure.
That's what I was looking for. Okay, I can expend this resource. I will drink a potion of comprehension.
Oh, cool. Drink it down and kind of start looking around, and some of the symbols start tying in with other symbols, and you kind of start making sense. It doesn't like translate it directly, but you can kind of understand what these symbols mean. It's not high detail. It seems like maybe years and years ago, this cave was occupied by a druid or a shaman or some sort. But it does say that these mountains have a belly of fire within them, and that these mountains are the home of the forges of the world. And it kind of tells the story of crafting trees and crafting river valleys and so on and so forth. But the common theme is that let's call them the blacksmiths of the world reside within the mountains.
Ah, okay. See, it's a creation story. Although it's lost in translation, we had heard that the mountain had particular magical energies that were used in forging, but this talks of. It seems like the smiths are not forge smiths as such, but creationists. They made mountains, trees, forests, and they reside within the mountain. Does that mean anything to you, Hera?
Not off the top of my head, but it does give me discomfort knowing that there are people that want to make change the way that people are made, investigating into how nature and the land is made, and it is perhaps not too wise that we want to cross. That's that gives me a hibby and jibby, as they say.
Puck, as you move a couple more rocks, they start to like fall and stuff, and you make sure you do it in a certain order, but you see that there's a passageway behind these rocks, kind of turns into the mountain. There's a kind of a low green glow coming from it.
Well, if this place was special to druids, this might be something else along here. I'll keep investigating it and keep opening it up.
Open it up, and you kind of poke your head around the corner, and there's almost like another little alcove. It doesn't go very far, but in it, with this green glow that doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere, there is a stone carving of a bear standing over a pool of water with vines growing out of it. It seems to be holding a staff as well, as you guys see this.
Seems a very reverent place.
If only the druids left their names on the walls as well.
You don't pick up any names, unfortunately. But yeah, so there's this bear carving kind of arched over this little pool of water. It seems to be elevated a little bit in stone. Crystal clear water, you can see right to the bottom. It's maybe 3-4 feet deep. Doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere. Doesn't seem to have a sinkhole at the bottom. It's just this pool of water, very clean and clear.
I will go up to it and give it a little bit of an investigation if there's anything extra to note.
Sure. No roll. It's again, you look for anything that's like maybe dripping into it. Maybe there's a mushroom growing out the side of it. It might be like, oh, this might be a bit dodgy. But no, it's just a stone bowl of water, and you can see to the bottom.
I'll bow my head to the stone carving, and then I'm going to take some of the water. I'm going to put it into a flask.
Put your flask in, and it bubbles. Take it out. Close the lid. Nothing seems to happen.
Does anyone else want to come have a look?
The bear attacks.
Yeah. I'll probably would have followed Puck in there, see him do the bow to the statue, and sort of think that it's probably appropriate. What if I know druids? They are of nature and of well, for the most part, of goodwill and of life. I will sort of just cup my hands, do a bow. I'll wipe a bit on my face and then drink some water.
It is probably the freshest water you've had in a long time. It's just that right amount of cold without being too shocking. Almost like clears your sinuses straight away. And you kind of, it wakes you up. You feel very revitalized.
With the bar. No healing qualities.
Healing qualities.
Check my wound. Still
a
bit tapped out. Okay. And you said the bear was holding like a staff or something?
Yeah, that's carved out of stone as well.
Gotcha. Well, I'll sort of maybe take a step forward and then almost just put my hand on the hand that's on the staff. I'll just say, thank you. Look to Puck. Suppose we keep moving. The mountain seems to accept us here.
I suppose, yes, we've seen what we can.
All right.
Whilst they're mulling around in the little druid cave, I'll ask Nemos, as I'm just looking around the walls, or nonchalantly kind of, what do your people believe about where we all came from?
You see he's like packing up his bag.
Came to be.
He finds one of the gems that is like skittered under a rock somewhere, and he sneaks that in. What an odd question. Well, I mean, this is the home of the large, the giants. They forged a lot in the mountains, and well, that's probably the directive that the chief has given. They're after some kind of material to make something. Or so the stories go. Where to get them as much material as possible. Like I said, only the last couple of weeks, they must be making something quite cool.
Yeah.
We've been sending scouts out every day. Metals, gems. They're after some sort of Amenton? Adam? I don't know. I don't understand it. But anything is good, they say. Well, the chief says.
what are the dwarves? I mean, they're experts in the mining field and precious metals.
Like I said, they don't accept us. And it's quite frustrating sometimes, but this group of travelers, they seem friendly enough.
You meet them at all, these outsiders?
I didn't have the pleasure of introducing myself, but I saw them going into the chief's hut.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of a way to word the question. What do they look like? Folk like me, or exotic folk?
Ah, kind of thinks for a second. Well, that's the funny thing. They get to choose. And he gives a smile and then continues packing his bag.
What a luxury that would be.
Tell me about it. I'd love to see the big cities one day if we weren't so ostracized. Imagine being able to get rid of this, and he looks down at his goat legs. Just for a day. At that point, Puck and Hera kind of come back out of the thing. Right. I suppose we're ready to travel. It's going to take a couple of hours. It'll get dark, but I guarantee you, once we're in front of that hearth and fire, you'll forget all about your worries.
Are we able to light torches on the mountain? Is that a
He looks
danger?
back to the Periton and goes, we should be okay. Not many fly at night, but be aware that the winds can get quite strong.
Good to know. In that case, I'll spend a couple of minutes. Just give me a minute to sort out some climbing gear.
Of course.
Tying a rope to some pittons and so on and so forth. Right, I guess lead the way.
All right, he kind of looks around and puts a satchel on his shoulder and starts climbing out onto the ledge with you guys in tow. As you move out, the wind it's quite chilly now. It's gotten quite a bit darker since you've been here. But with Nemos in front, he starts to lead you towards his so-called village in the mountains. Hera, you probably have Monaco at the rear of the party, and you put your face wrap around, and you feel as though each step is taken with a bit more firmness. You almost feel a bit of strength behind you in your walk, and you kind of keep going to touch your wound, and you see it kind of healing up a little bit. And almost with the shadow of the bear looming over you, for the next 24 hours, you get bear's endurance. So you have advantage on constitution checks and gain 2d6 temporary hit points, which are lost when the spell ends.
Ah.
So if you want to roll those.
Yeah. D6. It's a total of 6 temporary hit points.
Yep, so you can get 6 temporary hit points, and you can get 6 hit points back as well.
The most vitalized Hera's ever felt.
Yeah. Almost back to my full normal HP, and I've got some temporary HP.
So even though the winds are blowing, you feel like you can tough it out a bit. You almost feel the bear's fur encapsulate you a bit.
A little bit,
bit
straighter back to the normal, not as hunched and curled, just sort of almost standing same height as Molokov now.
Oh, nice.
Probably strange to him looking over and seeing me standing back straight, sort of, chin up.
From in front of you, you get a fuck, it's cold.
Yeah.
Ghost.
And so now we have landed in the mountains. That is where we'll end today's session. We'll catch you next week.
Shifters. That was a beautiful way to drop that information, by the way. way.